We've finally reached the ultimate frontier. No, it's not the grand finale. It's not the playoffs yet. It is only the last step in the league phase. A match that doesn't have as much significance, but plenty to play for both teams, individual performances, a little bit of pride, and plenty more for spectators, of course, who are going to be thronging Mumbai for one final time before the action shifts to Kolkata and Ahmedabad to end off the season. Here we are on Cricbuzz Live, looking ahead to this game, but also, I suspect we'd like to look back at a tournament that's enthralled all of us for almost a couple of months. I'm joined on Cricbuzz Live by our panel, who are taking bonding to a new level right here on Cricbuzz Live. There you go. I'm Doull Harsha Bhogle all together. I don't even know who to address first.
Oh dear. No, address any one of us, it doesn't matter.
Well, one thing I can tell you, folks,
we thought we'd simulate a studio in a hotel in Kolkata.
We're all in Kolkata. That's the beauty of it. The action is shifting to Kolkata for the playoffs, and all of us have gathered in the city of joy. Joy is not here, of course. He's busy. We'll get him at some point on the show and talk about his quiz questions. But let's look back at the tournament. After, of course, we update everyone with the news of the toss. Sunrisers have won the toss. They've chosen to bat first, put runs on the board, and then see if that Punjab machine can chase it down in the rapid fire way they've gone. On the subject of rapid fire, gentlemen, I thought I'd get both of you involved in a bit of rapid fire looking back at the tournament. Just a few questions before we wait for the teams and more looking ahead to this game. Who'd like to go first? Harsha? You're shaking your head.
I don't know if you can hear me. Is the line working all right? Can you hear me?
Yes, it is. It is. We're oscillating between different colors. Looks lovely. It's red playing orange at the stadium in Mumbai, but it also is red and orange. Very important colors for here when it comes to the internet, because when it turns red and orange, you're not talking Punjab and Hyderabad. You're talking about an internet speed that is not quite up to scratch. So, red is not a color we like. That's no reference to the Punjab team. You're more Hyderabad right now, gentlemen. So that is what we like. We like the color orange. Alrighty. So let's go for it. And
it's slightly better.
Slightly better. I can hear them. I hope all of you can hear Harsha and Simon coming to you from Kolkata. And here's one more reminder.
Okay, hang on, Gautam. You're on your own for a while. Just hang on.
Yeah, so let's just tell you about what the teams have done. Hyderabad have two changes. We were one obviously forced change, that is Kane Williamson, the captain, will not be playing. Romario Shepherd comes in for him. And the other change is that T. Natarajan will not be playing, and Jagadish Suchit will be in the team for Hyderabad. These are the two changes for Hyderabad, and we will bring you the Punjab team very shortly. Hyderabad have won the toss. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar has won the toss, not KW because he's not here, and they will bat first. Now we can get some rapid fire going. All right, Dooley, I think I'll start with you first. All right, maybe 4 questions I'm going to throw at you. Most shocking event of the season for you?
Oh, fairly easy. Rishabh Pant walking onto the field, the Delhi situation, that whole game with what happened. I just thought that the way they handled it was poor, and I don't think it would have happened if Ricky Ponting was at the ground. So they were obviously going through a few things off the field, which didn't help. But that whole threat to sort of pull the team off the field, and it just didn't sit well with me. And I think in reflection, it won't sit very well with him either.
All right, Harsha, would you like to take the same question at the same time?
I'll tell you what, if you had told me at the start of the season that MI and CSK would be 9 and 10, I didn't think they're the best auctions, I'll be honest up front. But if you told me MI and CSK are going to finish 9 and 10, I'd have said, no, man, the great teams find a way of coming around. So I didn't like what I saw with Rishabh. I'll be completely honest. I don't think it was handled well. I'll go in. But I've got to be looked to be a little different from the big man, right? So MI CSK finishing 9 and 10 for me.
All right, then. Question number 2. We'll go alternately. It seems to be more fun that way. Favorite
Don't
match
you
of the
have to
season?
answer the rapid fire?
I wasn't told. I didn't even think about it. Although, if I had gone for it,
Okay.
it was Rishabh Pant for me.
Well,
I was
yeah.
just talking about it with a few friends last night, and we were looking back at the season. I was like, Rishabh Pant dropping the catch, Rishabh Pant not taking the review, but Rishabh Pant doing what he did from the dugout. Unfortunately, RP's got to have a bad rap this time. We love you, Rishabh, but those 3 incidents don't sit so well. So, Dooley, let me come to you. Favorite match of the season? Have we lost them? It's orange. We seem to be all right as far as the internet is concerned. Gentlemen, start your engines.
I think we're seeing red.
All right, favorite match, gents.
Favorite match? It was one that I was calling, actually. And we've seen at times over the last couple of years this happen sporadically. This year it happened more often. Rahul Tewatia, 2 sixes, last 2 balls against Odin Smith and the Punjab Kings. So that was kind of my favourite moment because I was on air, I was calling it, and we sort of look at him and we think, surely he can't do it again. But he just seems to be able to do it again, time and time again. And he's done it well this year. So that was my favourite match, just for the ending, back-to-back sixes to win it.
Yeah, for me, it'll have to be one of the 2 games. Both the games that I missed, actually. Both the games that I missed. One was that Rishabh Pant game. That was the one where Robman Powell was hitting the sixes. But how good was the last game? I've gone for a walk, 210 required, and I think no chance. And what, a finish of 208?
Yeah, 208. It was and should have won it. Rinku.
Rinku came down to 3 of 2. I'll tell you why I like that game such a lot, because you don't think a Rinku Singh will do it. You know Sunil Narayan will have a game or 2 like that, but you don't think a Rinku Singh will do it. And for him to get 40 or 15 was fantastic. And I thought my timing was perfect in missing those 2.
Yep, fair enough. That's one of the games I would have gone for, except sitting here in Kolkata, just reliving that, the heartbreak of it. Don't tell too many people around. Don't open the window and shout that from the treetops, gentlemen. That's all I'll tell you. I'm going to go for one of Kolkata's early victories, but it's not about me. We want to hear from you, and we're going to get a slightly different one to finish the rapid fire. It's called I Got It Wrong. Right? This one's called I Got It Wrong. Just something maybe you would have predicted, but thought, how did I get that one wrong? Simon Doull, are you ready to go for I Got It Wrong first?
Yeah, for me, I'll go back to the auction, and I predicted Mohammad Siraj would have a banger year. I thought he'd have a really good year, coming off some international performances and sort of being more established. I thought he would have a cracking year, and he hasn't. He's been disappointing for mine with the new ball and at the back end as well. And in the end, he's been dropped. So for me, I got that one completely wrong.
All right, Harsha.
Yeah, I'll be honest up front for fans of Gujarat Titans. If you had told me immediately after the auction, Gujarat Titans are going to win 10 out of 14 games, 8 out of the first 9, 9 out of 13 at one stage, I would have said, yeah, go jump. Because I didn't see that batting. I thought with that batting lineup, they could have imploded. But I thought the role Hardik played early on, they benefited that David Miller came back and was in great form. And suddenly Saha comes out and scores runs. But that was the one for me. I'm so happy to be proved wrong, because any team that does that is good for the league. But I didn't imagine Gujarat Titans would qualify.
Fair point. We'll leave the rapid fire at that and come back to the matter at hand. That is, of course, Hyderabad taking on Punjab. We've told you about the toss result. It is the men in orange, captained by Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, who have won the toss. They're batting first. And this is a reminder of the 11. We've talked about the 2 changes. Who's missing? And that is Kane Williamson, who goes out, and Romario Shepherd comes in. He probably prefers it with an E, but that's okay. They're not complaining. And Jagadish Suchit comes in place of T. Natarajan. That's the 2 changes. All the other usual suspects are there, including, very crucially at the top, Priyam Garg. And he's going to be opening the batting with Abhishek Sharma. That is the new combination that they finally found. Kane Williamson, for so long in the season, fans were crying out for him either to come down the order or maybe even rest himself. Well, this has been an enforced rest. And let's talk about the new opening pair, Harsha. When Priyam Garg came in, we didn't quite know what to expect, but it almost seemed as if he'd been the established opener all season, the way he played game one.
It's tough to say. Yeah, and he batted really well. Took a little time to start out and then went just boom, boom. It's a little difficult to say with a player like Kane Williamson, especially if you got a Kiwi sitting next to you. But this team actually looks more powerful. With Romario Shepherd at 6 about to finish. I can see why they brought Suchit for Natarajan. It's the same pitch they're playing on, so maybe it'll grip a little bit once the ball gets older. But it looks a more powerful lineup, doesn't it?
It just didn't look... I mean, Kane obviously has had a terrible year. He's captained the side relatively well at times, but outside of that, he's in the team first and foremost to bat. He's had an awful time of it, and he's been one of the problems in that side. Obviously, Natarajan losing form... And just, I mean, that over that he bowled in the previous match was just unacceptable. It was unacceptable. And for a guy who made his name nailing Yorkers, he seems to have gone off the boil a little bit. Now, maybe that's an injury thing as well. Maybe he's been worried about that injury and hasn't quite come back. So I can understand the changes, and it does. I agree with you, Harsh. It looks like a better side.
To be fair, though, I mean, the fact that Natarajan goes off his game a little bit and gets hammered like that tells you how strong this league is with the end overs, because there's so many people coming. There's so many coming and finishing it. Maybe even Simon Doull with his career best of 108 would have come and finished a few.
I don't think so.
Oh, dude, yeah, I knew he'd get you in there. That's the difference between being in different windows and just bonding in the same place. You never know how you're.
I just made some coffee for him. You better agree.
Very nice.
Instant coffee?
Well, it was but it was a better standard of instant coffee. I mean, we've got to get one thing right in this hotel: internet rubbish, coffee decent.
All right. Espresso would be a favorite. I mean, that's what I would think of if I get an espresso. And I'm not referring to the espresso variety that has a bit of, Harsha, okay, not saying anything. I'll just leave it at espresso blank. And you can fill in the blanks if you like that. We are only talking coffee here on the show. It's family time.
Coffee with milk. I mean, what kind of coffee guy is he?
All right, there you go. This is not espresso, but it is coffee. I'm going to have a quick sip. And then talk about the Punjab team.
What might be in it.
No. It's only coffee. It's cold coffee. That's all it is, Harsha. Punjab team. SRK is back. Finally. We want him to finish on a big high. And this is the team. We're seeing the usual suspects are there, of course, in terms of Kagiso Rabada, Liam Livingstone, Johnny Bairstow at the top. But Prerak Mankad comes in. Nathan Ellis comes into that bowling lineup. And Shah Rukh Khan. We're hoping he makes a difference. Simon, he was one of the talked about players in early on. Rahul Chahar makes way, Bhanuka Rajapaksa makes way. How important is it for Shah Rukh Khan to make just an impression at the end of the season, Simon?
Yeah, look, it's a tough one, isn't it? When you get the last game of the season and you've got to make an impression before next year, it's one of those situations where he'll be fine, and even if he doesn't, I think he's okay for next. He's a terrific player. He came in with such great form, didn't he? I mean, everyone was talking about how good he'd been in domestic cricket leading into the tournament. Numbers were fantastic. Just didn't. I don't know whether he got the opportunities that he deserved. And then when he did get the opportunities, didn't quite shine as much as they wanted to. I will say, though, I think, Harsh, probably it's the first season for about the last 4 where Punjab Kings haven't made 35 changes throughout the season.
The reason I laughed earlier was I knew exactly where Dooley was headed. I knew exactly.
3 in the last game. I mean, it takes them a little bit over the normal threshold, but it still means that they've actually been a little more settled, which is something I have liked about the Punjab Kings this year, a little bit more than in previous years.
I'll tell you what, I think they wanted to give Nathan Ellis a go because I think he's a good bowler. But to give Nathan Ellis a go, they would have needed to take Rajapaksa out maybe. So that also allows Mayank Agarwal to go up the order to number 3. And, for people like Prerak Mankad and the others, you're thinking, is this just, should we keep you for next year or no? So I wonder what kind of pressure they'd be under. Or would they just say, nothing to lose, last game, so let's go and enjoy ourselves. I hope Shah Rukh bats like that.
Yeah.
Because this will be an indicator of whether he's struggling to go to the next level.
But the interesting one about these two teams is, unlike, say, a Chennai or a Mumbai, whose fate seemed to be sealed fairly early on with their streak of losses, both Punjab and Hyderabad were clear contenders for that top four. And suddenly you had Hyderabad with a string of L's after the string of W's. And for Punjab, it was just like a road with speed breakers. Either WL, 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 WL. Who's going to be the more disappointed of the two not to make it, Harsha?
It'll be interesting, Duri. Let's put ourselves outside of cricket into management.
Yeah.
And we're looking at that kind of manner. Which management is more disappointed? If I was Punjab, I'd be very disappointed that I could not string two wins together. That every time I win, I'm dropping. If I'm Hyderabad, I'm thinking, you know what? We had something there. A streak of 5 is very tough. So actually, if I'm in the Punjab camp, in the management, I'm actually a little more disappointed.
I'm with you, absolutely. I think that's a very good point you make. I didn't think Hyderabad were a good side. I thought that they were probably the worst side, in the competition, or one of the worst sides, and that's been proven with where they finished. But I thought Punjab had a better side than that, but they just could not string 2 wins together. And when you're doing that, you don't get any consistency, and therefore your selection comes under scrutiny as well. So to me, I'm with Harsha. The Punjab management should be the more disappointed, I think, with their performances this season.
The other correlation we've been trying to make, and not just because we had lack of anything else to do, but it actually hit us in the face, was captain's performance correlated to team's performance. And if you look at the teams who have finished in the bottom, Agarwal, Williamson, Jadeja / Dhoni, Rohit Sharma, not a coincidence, gentlemen, 7, 8, 9, 10. $195 for Mayank Agarwal, 216 for Kane Williamson, clearly disappointing. Just 150 between the top 3 we're talking about. Rohit Sharma, a rare season, not even a half century to talk about, and 10th place was almost looked inevitable there. The cliche, Dooley, leading from the front, is said for a reason.
Yeah, look, it is. And when you look at the sides that are at the top and look how their captains have performed, it is completely opposite to this. We've talked about William. That is an awful, awful season for Kane Williamson. You cannot open the batting and strike under 115, let alone under 95. It is an awful season from the captain of Sunrisers. So that was really bad.
It's the same guy, Dooley. How did he play the T20 World Cup final? So there's
there's clear pressure, I think. And when you lose a player the stature of Dave Warner, I just think he felt an enormous amount of pressure, and coming back off not playing cricket. And that's another point. Harsha made a point just a little while ago about how tough this competition is. It is not the best league in the world for any other reason than the fact it is ridiculously hard. He's coming off an elbow injury where he hadn't played cricket for 2.5 months, maybe 3 months even, I think. You just can't waltz into this competition and think, just because I played the game a little bit, I'm going to do well. And it was absolutely showing up with Williamson on that occasion. MS and Jadoo, there was turmoil. It just didn't. That whole situation, it just wasn't meant to be. And I really hope for Chennai's sake that Jadeja is there next year and he has an opportunity to bounce back and forget about all of this year and show what he's got. Rohit.
It's 4 seasons in a row now.
Yeah.
It's 4 seasons in a row now for Rohit Sharma. I don't think anyone doubts his leadership capabilities. But if you're Mumbai Indians, you're starting to think, hang on, can we get the Rohit Sharma of India back to play for Rohit Sharma of Mumbai Indians? So, and you could see, I got the feeling that Rohit's body language was a little tense because he desperately wanted those runs. With Kane is the interesting one. In an earlier season, I think when Warner wasn't around, he made 735 runs. Which is incredible.
But he came off the back of having a good domestic season as well. And that's the thing, double 100, I think, that season at the Basin Reserve. I think he came off runs and he came off playing cricket. And it just shows you. I mean, and I had a chat to MS the other night after the game, not just away from everything. And the one thing I said to him, I said, what are you going to do?
The next 10 months?
For the next little while. He said, I'm going to take a short break and I'm going to play some cricket. He said, the one thing I realize now is that if I'm not playing cricket, I'm not in the game. I'm not able to maneuver the ball around. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. But it's so true of the guys you look at over the years that have gone away and not played any domestic cricket, any first-class cricket, and come back and thought they could waltz into the IPL. No chance.
No.
You know, the prime examples are Adam Gilchrist, for one. He was a prime example. You just can't. Haydos, Matthew Hayden, one of our fellow commentators, Andrew Simon. You know, guys like that. It is such a difficult league that you cannot play no cricket leading into it and expect to do well.
Yeah. It makes for interesting contests. It makes for interesting correlations. But if we try and throw maybe a couple of numbers at you, what about 150 versus 117? Is that equal? Well, we're talking about two different kinds of numbers. 150 kilometers an hour versus 117 meters in terms of the size of a six. That's what's coming up against each other, folks. Umran Malik versus Liam Livingstone. And Harsha, we certainly want to make sure there's a situation where Umran is bowling to Liam.
If he hits 117 of 150 meter ball, then to me, that'll be one of the events of the IPL. But you see, because Umran can go back of a length sometimes, and Livingstone is good playing that shot, that could well happen, because these are the two breakout players, really, of the league. I know Livingstone's done very well elsewhere, but he's never really had a breakout season in the IPL. Umran's been one of the breakout players, one of very, very happily one of many young Indian players who had breakout seasons. So that'll be great fun to watch. What I'd like to see from Umran Malik is whether I run in every ball and bowl 145 plus, or whether he says, no, slowly I will learn different things. The thing is, he's learning from someone who was running and bowl fast.
Yeah, and Dale was sort of quite open to admitting that he didn't like the slower ball. He didn't like it, even at the death. He didn't like going to the Yorkers very often. He just believed in good, hard length. Now, he developed different skills as time went on, Dale Steyn, and became a far better exponent. He's the best test bowler we've seen in the last 25 years, without a doubt, in my mind, fast bowler in particular. Probably would openly say his one-day game and his T20 game didn't quite evolve as much over that time, but he's a smart man and a smart coach, and he'll be teaching Umran Malik those skills, but that's something he's got to work on outside of the game as well.
Can people who charge in at that pace bowl a good slower ball?
Yeah, and it becomes such a good slower ball. Like if you have the ability at 140, you look at the wickets, the couple of wickets I can think of from Lockie Ferguson with that slower ball.
That one that just came in
and sort of floats.
Yeah.
You know, so he's got the ability to go from 145 down to 120. You know, a Jofra Archer, that sort of Mitchell Stark has that ability. So it's there. You've just got to learn it along the way. So it's something that it's very hard to do in competition, but in the nets and in training, I hope he's just starting to manage it.
Yeah, well, it's sometimes you see the faster it comes, the faster it goes off the bat. So if it's that 117 versus 150, as Harsha mentioned, the correlation could just be Liam would love it coming onto the bat, and therefore it might even beat 117 meters for all you know. But Livingstone himself, Harsha, while we've talked about Umran Malik, not had a great time. This has never been his tournament. Now, finally, he's starting to show that, yeah, I do belong, not just in the other leagues around the world. Quick look at the progression there.
We've talked about this a little bit as well, I think, Harshan. The fact that he has done it around the world and done it, and particularly in England, and this is the first time we've seen him, and he's been paid big money before, but this is the first time we've really seen him and seen the ability that he does have. He's a better player than just a slogger or a boundary hitter. He's got genuine ball striking ability, but man, he's got power, and it's good to watch.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes you measure players, Gautam, by fast start. How good is he in his first 10 balls? Karan Pollard's a great example. First 10 balls, maybe no, thereafter in his prime, mayhem. Yeah. Look at those numbers. First 10, brilliant. But it if anything, it gets even better. If you're 170 throughout, that's very good. But look what happens. He just keeps getting better and better. So he's someone who's got a really quick start. I think the only other person that we didn't see enough of who was like him in the league was Tim David. And sadly, we didn't see enough of him. I think the Mumbai Indians will admit that they got it wrong over there. They're looking better for next year, if that's any consolation. But Liam Livingstone, with the start he gets, fantastic. Plus, he's giving you leg breaks, off breaks. He's good for 2 overs every single game.
And brilliant in the field.
Yeah.
Absolute gun in the field.
Yeah, leg break and off break. What a deadly combination. Left-hander.
I've heard that before.
1 minute. My glasses. I'm seeing you in 3D.
Yeah, three-dimensional. Every team needs one of those, don't they?
Yeah.
Every team needs one of those.
3D. Yeah.
Oh, love that. Well, Tim David should not have been seen much of last night. He was out first ball, but very generously Delhi decided they wanted to watch a little bit more of Tim David, as we did. And they got to see him hit whatever 30 of 11 balls. But that is another story altogether. Perhaps all these conversations in sharp contrast to a Joss Butler, who likes to start slowly, maybe even 3 overs, and then goes absolutely ballistic. But on
I think the word you're searching for is reputation. Once you build a reputation, you suddenly don't want to get out very quickly. You'll find a lot of players. I'd love to see Livingston come back next season, Tim David come back next season and still play like that.
Some people refer to it as the sophomore effect. In case you're wondering what we're talking about, American colleges, freshman, first year, it's all new. And then you come to the sophomore year when people have found out a little bit about you. But yeah, reputation, sophomore effect, call it what you like. Umran Malik. Now, he might have impressed all of us, 150 Ks an hour. One of the ambitions is to get into the national side. And that's exactly what he's done in the squad against South Africa. And I think this is the first step. I know, Harsha, we talked a lot about the boarding passes to Australia, but I think this is step one for the likes of Arshdeep Singh and Umran Malik.
I don't know if this team is being picked with an eye to South Africa, to Australia. Because if this was picked with an eye to Australia, who's the one person who struggles on slowish tracks and plays much better on bouncy tracks? And that's Sanju Samson. Ishan Kishan, exactly the other way. So I'm a little surprised by this. Also, I thought KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer and Rishabh Pant, especially KL Rahul and Shreyas and Rishabh Pant, would have gone straight to England along with everybody else, because KL Rahul has played a lot of cricket himself. And I thought you'd get Rahul Tripathi and Sanju Samson in that side. I mean, Tripathi is a proper T20 player. So I'm a little surprised by that. I'm delighted that DK and Hardik Pandya are back in the side. I don't know how they're going to fit everybody in. And I'm very happy. Umran Malik, Arshdeep Singh, these kind of players. Maybe Mohsin.
Mohsin a little bit unlucky. Maybe he's still carrying a slight injury. We'll find out more about him through this, through the playoffs. But I'm imagining they'll give everyone a game. Everyone will get one game in that whole squad, which will be hard to sort of work around. But they've got plenty of bowling options. And if Hardik is available to bowl, yes. If he's not available to bowl, then he'll play as a batter at number 4, number 5, perhaps. Venkatesh Iyer will get an opportunity. It's a strong squad. I also think you talk about KL and Shreyas and Rishabh Pant. I think they've also looked at that South African side and thought, this is a pretty good side. This is we can't afford to just go what we term to be second tier, which is still very good quality players, but we can't afford to let a team turn up that can't beat them. And so therefore we have some of our players, because this is a very good South African side, and I think it's a side that will test that bunch of men.
Yeah, the temptation is to only react to the likes of Umran Malik and Arshdeep Singh, but one of the veterans in there, if you like, holding his own, captaining the side today in the match that we're building up to, and that's Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Harsha.
And I know that you guys have been talking a fair bit on days that we've not been on. The only thing with Bhuvi is he's still not giving you wickets up front. I'd have loved Bhuvaneshwar Kumar to have a season where he had given you a few more wickets up front with a new ball. He's bowling beautifully at the back end, but I'd have liked to see a few more wickets up front. The moment you give a few more wickets up front, that allows you to have Shami, Bhuvi, Bumrah, a little combination of that, and then hold Bhuvi and Bumrah back for the end for a national side. So that's the only thing with Bhuvi. I'm delighted to see the fitness that he's back. He's gone through a season without a breakdown, which is the first thing you want to see with him. So you look at these numbers, Dooley. If you didn't know the name on top, would you say this is just a specialist death overs bowler?
You wouldn't. The one thing I will say, and I completely take your point, when he's only going at 5.92, he's creating wickets at the other end. If at the other end is a Shami. So if he's got a quality man at the other end who is a brilliant bowler with the new ball. Now I look at a Trent Bolt type situation here, and I think Shami for me is 3 up front in the power play, and then maybe the 11th or 12th over. He is not a death bowler. For my mind, he is not a death bowler. Whereas Bhuvi can give you 2 up front and 2 at the back, and that's it. Now if he's not taking wickets up front and he's going for 6. Absolutely, he might be helping the guy at the other end.
Actually.
And if he's only going for runs, if he's only going for under 8, 8.5, 9 at the back end, he's doing a great job. So
that allows you to go Bumrah 1, 1, 2.
Correct.
Bhuvi 2 and 2.
2 and
Shami
2.
3 and 1.
3 and 1. And then your spinners
Or
and
maybe
Hardik
Yeah.
in between. And you know, if you've got 2 quality spinners, which India will always have, whether it be Chahal and Jadoo or whatever might happen come later on in the year, Ashwin, whoever they might choose to pick. If Hardik is fit, it makes for a very, very good side, I think, if they go down Bhuvi's route.
Well, that's an embarrassment of riches almost if you have a look at that Indian squad. It should be a great series. Strong South African team coming in there. India coming in the back of this particular tournament. Putting up the squad one more time for you, gents. One name for each of you that you're looking forward to watching in this series. Simon Doull?
Go on.
Akshar Patel. I want him to be part of this squad. I want him to be part of that World Cup squad. I think he's a genuinely good quality cricketer, and he fits he does a lot of things right for me. Akshar Patel.
I'd like to see Ruturaj Gaikwad get a run. If Ruturaj Gaikwad gets 3-4 games out of 5 here, I'd like to see how he goes. Because I get the feeling he's okay with pace, seeing how he played Umran Malik. I get the feeling he's okay with pace because pace is making a comeback in T20 cricket. Pace on the ball is making a bit of a comeback. So I'd like to see that.
Fair enough. I'm glad Harsha clarified, because when I first heard him say the words, I hope Ruturaj Gaikwad gets a run, I'm thinking, that's like his first 5 games in the IPL. He couldn't buy a run, and he scored 1. And that's what we were saying about him. What he meant was get a run of games to play. I got that a little bit late.
Actually, run's a difficult one because you could end up saying run in as well, which is also something you don't want.
Correct. Must be something in the coffee. I'll watch out for that. Instead, let's go to Joy and see if we can test our grey cells. This is what the question we have. And it's a long one. Which institution connects a man who has a blood donation camp in his name in an Indian city, one who hit a 6 to win a major tournament in the same city, and an artist who has won 9 Grammy Awards? Wow, I think Joy was sharing a bit of the same coffee I was having when he said that question. Work that out for yourselves. Good luck. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Give us the answer.
I think I know the answer.
Oh, Harsha. Okay, hang on. Hold on to it. We'll get it off air once we're done with the show. Give everyone else a chance. What we will go to you is score prediction. 20 overs. Hyderabad batting first.
151. Same pitch. Swanee said 160 is a good score. 151.
I don't think they're going to finish on a high. So I'm going to go 139.
Whoa, that's really low. I think a little bit higher. 160, 166. I'm going to go to the same score as yesterday. 166 is what I'm sticking with. All of you who've been loving Match Party throughout the season on Cricbuzz Plus, it's on right now. It's going to be on during the playoffs, so don't miss it. Lots of fun, watch along, discussions, and just have a blast. And get yourself a drink of coffee, espresso, whichever way you like it. That's all we have on the show. Thank you, Harsha. Thank you, Simon. Enjoy your beverages. Enjoy the game. We'll be back on Cricbuzz Combox in 10 overs time. Until then, from Cricbuzz Live, exclusively from Kolkata, it's goodbye.